Okay, this is a quick update. I'll start, with my PCMCIA card, and then I'll show a little weird coding thing I've been working on at the end. So my current issue with the card is you can see there's this big gap in the end of the card. Um, and, it doesn't look great, but more important, if you try to put your SD card in and you miss, which you probably will, it's going to go inside the card and you'll never get it. So I've been trying to decide what to do. There's not a lot of options, but I just really been trying to decide how to make it perfect, which is not possible. The way I got there is the card used to be earlier revisions. I had just a PCB sticking out for the antenna, and then I had this lower profile connector. And what I would do is the frames I have come solid because they were meant for, I guess, memory cards. And I basically had a fixture, and I put this on a CNC machine, and I would mill out the perfect profile into the plastic to go around the connectors and the SD card socket. Um, that worked when these were thin, but now that I've moved to the using the Pico wireless module, which has that can there, and then this big HRS connector. There's just not enough cross section um, to do that. So I'm now, at the point, the only option is I take the frame and I mill it off square on each side. And then I have a piece which I need a week. I don't have it yet. It's just a 3D printed piece that covers this area. It's just imagine, just subtract um, all of these components, and it just covers this area so that when I assemble this into the frame, it's sandwiched between the frame and the PCB, and it fills in those spaces so that it'll be a flush edge and nothing can slip inside. And that's basically all I can do. There's not a lot of other ways that I can do it. Um, so I was waiting for that 3D print. Um, and I'll assemble a couple boards, send them out to some more people, to testers, just take a look at. And if feedback is positive, that it's functional and looks okay, then I'll proceed. The reason I did not manufacture all these yet is just, again, because I've made some very small tweaks to the position of this stuff as I've tried to kind of make the end more fit better. Um, you know, I wouldn't have, if I made them all, and I would have been trapped. I couldn't make changes. So I have all these components. I have everything ready to go. I've just been really holding off for this mechanical issue. So I'll get this little area filled in with a 3D piece, and then I think we're good to go. Um, then just a very quick demo of this coding thing I've been working on. Um, Basically, um, there's some, mundane tasks that I had to complete, some things like testing, like iterating through every single function of the card to make sure, it configures, helping me write some command line parsers and just things that I don't want to do by hand. And so what I made was show me a list of MCP commands for Comrade. Basically just made a little, it's a TSR that I run on my physical machine. So in this case, I run on the PC110, and it talks over serial to Claude code on my desktop. And it could be Claude code, it could be Codex, it could be open code, whatever. It basically presents it some MCP tools, and it gives me these options for manipulating files, for interacting with the console, um, PC Anywhere type stuff, except, just this is kind of geared specifically to this task. So I can do things like make me a hello world program, write it in C, and compile it with Borland C. Use C:/Claude as our working directory, and you will find Borland C in C:/BCC. So this is just a very generic example to show that you know, it will look up, it will check the Borland C installation, make sure the compiler is there that it wants. Um, it can write the. Oh, I had already had it do this before, so I guess it sees I guess that's an old hello world from unrelated because I don't want it to even work in there. Um, but we'll just let it, hopefully it follows my instructions. It should just write a new hello world in this Claude directory. Um, and what did it say there? With sound effects. Interesting. Um, so compile succeeded. BC couldn't find D-Link. I'll add a thing to the path. Yeah, I started the machine with F5, so I guess the path is not good, but it figured it out itself. Um, so it's done. So it's giving me a little history, um, why it couldn't do it because of the path. So there, it's like it figured out an issue, corrected itself. Um, so let's do. What did it say? Some sound. Can you make it play a little jingle through the PC speaker? And this is an example just of it, you know, doing something with the hardware. And again, it's, yeah, so I guess I asked it something very similar to this yesterday because it's reading a file somewhere else. Um, um, yeah, okay. So then, for example, can you type the hello.c to the console, then show us an exact view of what is on the display. And again, it's just showing that it can do the keystrokes. Oh, I gotta tell it to do something here. Um, I gotta remind it these are not the proper line feeds characters. So it shows it. Let's see what it has to say about that. Notice the effects. It noticed that the um, things are not correct. I can rewrite it if you'd like. Yes, please fix it to use the proper line terminations for MS-DOS and then type and show us again. And again, I didn't have a Claude MD file here to tell it this stuff, so these are trivial issues that I normally wouldn't have when I give it proper direction. This is just a very light demonstration of doing, whatever the term is, agentic coding on my desktop and having it actually executing and iterating on my real hardware. Um, and this is again to test, to do little simple tasks that I don't want to deal with. But they need the real hardware to confirm it's to test and to be functional. Um, so it's fixed it, it typed it, it looks good. So yeah, and you can ask it to do much bigger things. It's a little bit, I don't want to get into too much more for the demonstration here, but that's kind of just the idea is a little agent utility that runs on your physical hardware that just assists you in, uh, you know, doing these types of tasks. It could be coding. It could even just be some simple things like I could ask it, I'll do one more. Hopefully this doesn't blow up for my demonstration. Can you um, take a look at the bias um, and see how much the CMOS area and see how much RAM we have based on that? Um, so here I think it should use, it'll probably use the IO command. I don't think it'll write a program. It'll just use it's going to use the IO port tool. Um, it knows where to look for that type of stuff. So I'm just going to run a quick IO command there and um, base low, now base high, blah, blah, blah. So see if it can figure it out. This system has 20 megabytes of RAM. Let's see if it can figure that out. It should, yeah, there you go. So I mean, obviously Bit gets shadow ROM extra, but yeah, so it's got figured it out. We could give it a task that uses the uh, the memory interface. Or no, so as an example, this unit has option ROM, so it figured that out. Total RAM 20 megabytes. Um, do we have any option ROMs? Give me a list of option ROMs. It should use, again, I don't know what it'll do. It might use the memory tool. It might write us a program. Um, let's see here. How's it going to do it? I'll scan that with 2K boundaries. Let me load them. So it's going to use the memory tool. Um, let's see. I'll start with UMA. And again, this is just you wouldn't use it for things like this, right? This is stuff you're just going to do yourself, but this is just an example of its the ability to do work in the agent that can interact with the hardware. Um, see here. Let me test how large single read can be. This shouldn't need to read so much though. We just want to get from there. Calling comrade. Just expand this, see if anything output. Oh yeah, it's like it's reading some larger sections of it than it needs to really. Um, yeah, it's being a little extra here. It could have just um, read some smaller sections, but it's actually like grabbing the whole thing and analyzing the code. Um, so yeah, and again, there's some limitation. This is over the serial port, so I didn't really intend it to do things that too dramatic. Like its main purpose is being able to execute the compiler and see the outputs. But let's just see, the one unusual one on here is um, and I've not told it this at all, so we'll see. But there's an option ROM that's a Japanese font. I'm not sure it could figure that out or not. Um, we'll see here. If I have the font ROM enabled. Uh, yeah, DE00. I believe that is the option, the Oki mask ROM, which has the Japanese fonts. I wonder what it's gonna do. Um, yeah, it knows it's a font. It's fonts. That's pretty cool. Um, so yeah, it did that. It figured out those basic things. So anyway, that's just an example of um, it being able to do things that interact directly with the hardware. So I don't know. It's just an idea, something I'm playing with. Uh, Interested to see what people think about that. It's just a nice way to speed up some mundane tasks when you're doing development on your retro machine. Um, that's it for now. I'll try to give an update once I get that 3D print for the PCMCIA card. Thanks.